Welcome to Module 1, What is Crisis? In 1959, during a speech in Indianapolis, John F. Kennedy said, "The Chinese use two brushstrokes to write the word crisis. One brushstroke stands for danger, the other for opportunity. In a crisis, be aware of the danger, but recognize the opportunity." Crises are happening all around us in almost every aspect of society. Whether it be in business or in the sports or entertainment industry, crises are occurring in which these organizations and the people that work for them must address these crises in order to stay in favor with their key publics and or supporters. So what does it mean to say crisis? According to our textbook, a crisis is a major occurrence with a potentially negative outcome affecting an organization, company, or industry, as well as its public's products, services, or good name. It interrupts normal business transactions and can sometimes threaten the existence of the organization. Let's look at this definition and break down its key components. First, it is a major occurrence. A crisis is not an incident or minor disruption. An example may be that a water main breaks at your company. Perhaps the water is turned off and only a few toilets are working. This is a minor inconvenience for the employees and may cause the company to temporarily close for the day, but it will reopen the next. On the other hand, the water main breaks and the first floor of your organization is completely flooded with 3 to 5 feet of water. Computers are destroyed, the electrical is damaged, the building is completely saturated, possibly causing black mold. This is a major occurrence that has not just inconvenienced the company, it may cause the organization to shut down for days, weeks, or even forever, depending on the financial means of the company. Next, it has a potentially negative outcome. Even though then Senator John Kennedy said to recognize the opportunity of crisis, most crises are not positive for the company and its key publics. Crises can bring negative media, cause a downfall in stocks, and hurt the image of the company. Third, it interrupts normal business transactions. When a crisis occurs, most, if not all, the employee effort is aimed at working on the crisis. The crisis I mentioned earlier regarding the water main breaking would require employees to assess the damage, obtain insurance estimates, give constant communication updates to key publics to keep them informed, maintain and update media relations efforts, and on it goes. The regular order of business is usually put on hold during the beginning stages of a crisis. And finally, it may threaten the existence of the organization. Some companies never recover from a crisis. In fact, according to FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, when a natural disaster strikes, such as a hurricane, 40% of companies will never reopen. And those that do reopen, only 25% will still be in business 2 years later. Crises come in a variety of ways, from employee layoffs because of low financial results to the consequences of damaging rumors, workplace violence, and corporate takeovers. This list shown on the screen is not all inclusive, but gives you an idea of the various types of crises that can occur to businesses. So when we look at a crisis, we must understand some of the key terms that coincide with preparing for and recognizing a crisis situation. The first is crisis management. This is the strategic process of planning for a crisis that removes some of the risk and uncertainty and thereby allows the company to be in greater control of its own destiny. What this means is that companies take a step-by-step approach to plan for crises that may occur. Many businesses will plan for a natural disaster such as a hurricane. In their plan, they address the building location. Will it flood? What will they do with the equipment? What will the protocol be for sending employees home? And what will they tell their customers? By planning in advance, these companies have control over what is being said and what is being done. Crisis communication is also important. This is the communication between the organization and its various publics prior to, during, and after the negative occurrence. The communication is designed to minimize any damage to the company's image and reputation. This is where public relations comes into play. The message we craft and send to our key publics, such as our employees, stockholders, customers, and the media, must be strategic and planned in advance so that it coincides with the crisis management plan. All of this planning and communicating is good. However, as a crisis manager, one must recognize that effective crisis management depends on two areas: the organizational ideology and the communications ideology. These two philosophies of how the company is run and how key publics are communicated with comes from the top management down. As a public relations professional, you are only as good in communicating your message as the organization allows you to be. In studying crisis, our textbook breaks down crisis management into 5 areas. 1. Detection. 2. Prevention and preparation. 3. Containment. 4. Recovery. 5. Learning. Let's look at these stages in a bit more detail. Detection. Detection recognizes the signs that may lead to a crisis. And most crises do emit early warning signs that we call prodromes. If early action is taken, many crises can be avoided. However, once the potential for a crisis is detected, action must be taken. This action can be found in the form of issues management, taking steps to prevent a problem or situation from maturing into a crisis. This looks at the issues that are leading to the crisis and see if they can be resolved. Risk assessment or aversion, eliminating or lowering any risk levels that may lead to a crisis. This establishes the risk the company may be taking regarding certain action and analyze it for those impacts. Companies need to look at the financial impact of certain risks and its reputation, which leads to reputation management, resolving the issue or problem which could escalate and damage the company's reputation. Maintaining the company's image and reputation through communication, social responsibility, and doing the right thing in the eyes of the public is very important, especially in a crisis. Prevention or preparation. Through detection, a company should be able to prevent a crisis. But in the event you can't, again, such as a hurricane, a company must be prepared. Ways to do this are to create a crisis team, which we will discuss later in the term, create a written plan or guide to follow, and finally, maintain good relationships and communication with all key publics. If a crisis were to occur, containment is limiting the amount of time the crisis is in the news or being discussed by the public. The longer a crisis is on the, quote, front page, unquote, so to speak, the more damage to reputation your company will suffer. It is imperative to get your story out as quickly as possible and update it when necessary. Otherwise, your story may become incorrect due to speculation and rumor, and this may become what people believe to be true, even if it isn't. Scholar Timothy Coombs said, "A quick response is an active response because it tries to fill the vacuum with facts. A slow response allows others to fill the vacuum with speculation and misinformation." The fourth stage is recovery. Your company will be judged on how well it did during a crisis situation. The company's economic performance, social responsiveness, and reputation will be scrutinized by the media and the company's key publics. And finally, the last stage is learning. Companies must evaluate how things were done during a crisis. Questions need to be asked as to what was lost, gained, and learned because of this experience. In addition, companies should use their own crisis as a warning sign or prodrome so that this incident doesn't occur again. In closing, billionaire Warren Buffett from Berkshire Hathaway said, "It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it." If you think about that, you'll do things differently.